How goes it, family? How goes it, family? How goes it? It is Monday. We got through the day. 4 more days to get things done and to always continuously make money moves. Today's topic is very, very interesting because we are talking about good old Africa, okay? The motherland where my ancestors come from, all right? Found this article that I came across the other day, which definitely hits home for me, which I usually pick out the ones that do. One of the biggest reasons why this just so happens to be because in 2019, I found out where my African ancestry actually comes from. After doing my DNA test with AfricanAncestry.com, which if you are of African descent, I would advise you to check them out. They're based out of the DMV area where I'm from, specifically on the Maryland side of the Potomac River. My African ancestry comes from the country of Cameroon. As you see, it's a West African country. All right, and Equatorial Guinea and whatnot. So both neighboring countries and whatnot. It's a beautiful thing, and actually one day I cannot wait to check out these countries and see where my ancestors come from and whatnot. See the facial similarities and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to that day. I can say that with a lot of sincerity. I'm definitely looking forward to that day and go from there and whatnot. Should have got myself picked out a better map because I'm like, I can't even see. There it is, Cameroon. I'm like, okay, it's in the middle, Cameroon, and next door is Equatorial Guinea. All right, cool. Anyways, but so it's very interesting, and like I said, I can't wait to go visit West Africa, all of Africa, but specifically West Africa, as soon as this crazy pandemic is over with, family, if you know what I mean. Now, back to the article, because it really goes in one, especially, it really goes in on, not only just Africa as itself, but especially, how the pandemic has affected, because this article was actually written in 2019 before the pandemic and whatnot. But it goes into how the number of African Americans are actually not listening to the media, which I definitely advise, which is one of the smartest things to do, in my opinion, because, they are taking, and you have a lot of African Americans that are just taking a chance of saying the heck with it, and they're going to Africa, they're going to visit it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I truly appreciate that, with the Millennial Generation, my generation has done a good job of not buying into what society deems as an education or where one should live at, or where how one should make a living or whatnot. Great example, my generation is the number one generation to say, hey, we love the idea of passive income. We love the idea of learning the stock market. We love the idea of getting into cryptocurrency. We love the idea of being able to make money in our sleep. We love the idea of listening to more business people and entrepreneurs and investors and listening to more politicians and whatnot, because we're seeing these people change lives regardless of who's in office. We're seeing these people make contributions and developing different strategies, and in certain instances willing to share different strategies so that people can live a life that they don't have to take a vacation from all the time. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I got a lot of respect for. Every generation has their set of risk takers. I'm not saying mine is the most special generation. I'm just saying mine's the one that every generation is different from going against the grain, but I think my generation is the number one generation to say, hey, it's cool to not have a job. It's cool to learn how to make money in your sleep and online. It's cool to be able to live wherever you want. We made it cool, especially for Americans, to want to live abroad. I think that is very cool. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people love to come to America, which is a great country, to enjoy the fruits and labors of it. And a lot of people have been taking chances and going to live in other countries and whatnot, and developing relationships with other people all over the world and whatnot, whether it's via their job, via their business. They served in the military and they say, when I get out, I actually want to live in this country. People are not listening to the media, and they're just taking a bite out of the world, and they're loving every single moment of it. Because my personal opinion is this: I can scream anything up and down till I'm blue in the face. You can scream anything up and down till you're blue in the face. But until that day comes when you actually say, you know what, I'm not going to take his or her word for it. I'm actually just going to see for myself, and if I like it, then I like it. Life to me is like a restaurant. Some people like certain kinds of food. Some people don't like certain kinds of foods. If what you like, and you move forward. Like some people love McDonald's. I despise McDonald's, not because of the company as a whole. I don't like the food. When I was a kid, I loved it, but as a grown man, I don't like it. I evolved to like different foods, but there's still other people that love McDonald's, love Burger King. Anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. You like what you like, I like what I like, and we move forward. That's how I look at it. Everybody has their own different experiences and whatnot, family. But like I said, back to the story at hand, because this was a very, very great article. Because at the end of the day, it's the going against the grain culture that will prosper, not the being basic culture in 2021. And I will say that again. It's the going against the grain culture that's going to prosper economically and culturally, not the being basic culture. All right. And if you've seen my videos before, you know, I basically, my mantra is being basic is not going to get you very far in today's society, regardless of the climate in any country. You're going to have to be an outside of the box thinker and liver, period. You're going to have to live outside of the box. All right. Article stated, and I quote, "It brings me joy, like I said, not only to see a growing number of individuals, particularly millennials, they're booking more flights to the motherland of Africa. There has definitely been an increase, but misinformation, indoctrinated fears, and false stereotypes have long deterred far too many people from visiting." I think that's a social media, I think thanks to social media and definitely word of mouth, it actually depends, it dispenses with any specific negative stereotypes that the media is infamous for putting out there about foreign countries. Like I said, a lot of times people were scared to go to specific cities. I'll use America as a great example. There's always that bad part of a major city that the media would talk so much about. But a lot of people, with gentrification, a lot of people say, well, heck with that. I want to live closer to my job, especially within the last 20 years. People that live in New York, I want to live closer to my job. I'm going to take a chance and I'll go live in Harlem. I'll go take a chance and go live in Southeast DC. I'll go take a chance and live in South Central Los Angeles, known as South Los Angeles. I'll go and live in the SWATs down in Atlanta and whatnot. I'll go live in the bad part of Houston or Dallas and whatnot. And then slowly but surely, the neighborhood changes. And it's the same thing with what's happening in Africa and whatnot. Despite what the media might say, and every country has its issue around the world, the good stuff and the bad stuff. But when you go actually experience something for yourself, now I'm not saying to go into a war zone. I definitely am not advocating for that. Be the adult and do your due diligence, but I am saying that life without any risk, life without any, adventure, is not a life worth living, in my personal opinion. But that's just me. But some people like the boring, basic life, and that's fine. Some people like being basic. Some people like being retired before they're of retirement age. That's fine. Like I said, I'm not knocking. Everybody has a different thing. If you wake up in the morning and you're happy about your life, that's all that matters. All right. All right. Now, the article stated that from the moment the doors of the aircraft open and your feet touch the soil, a connection is immediately felt. It's as if your soul knows and the ancestors are sending a special welcome message. The gentleman stated that you see here, "I will never forget walking the streets of Egypt," as you see him in Egypt, during his very first trip to Africa. It was incredibly striking to pass young children with wide eyes shouting, "Cousin, cousin." I know that when I go to Africa that I will get that same experience as family. And that's real talk. I'm looking forward, because I know that people will probably say to me, "Where you from?" And I'll say Northern Virginia in America. And they'll be like, no. Like, where are you from? Since I've taken a DNA test, I know where my people come from. All right. They come from Equatorial Guinea. I even know, I don't have it off the top of my head because I got the certificate next to my bed, but I even know the actual tribes that my people come from. And I'm glad that I can say that. That's why I said, if you're of African descent, but anybody of any culture should know where they come from, period. You might not know 100% about everything, but know the one-on-one aspects about the tribes that you come from, the communities that your ancestors were in, and things of that nature, where the country is at and the cities where the people are at, where they're at today. Just the one-on-one aspects. You can look all this stuff up on YouTube once you figure out your DNA test. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, one day, hopefully like 2022 or 2023, I'm looking to make that trip. Maybe even sooner. You just never know. But anyways, back to the story at hand. And like I said, because I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, the gentleman, his name is Brian, that you see here in the pictures. Brian made this statement. "As a kid, I was taught my family tree As much of that could be traced morals and religious practices by my family, educators, and church officials. Nothing wrong with that. These lessons or practices are what made and shaped me to become the man that I am today, he stated, Brian. While I appreciated and continue to adhere to many of those teachings, it took trips to Africa, not only just Africa, but he stated other countries around the world as well, to realize that I don't really know who I am and whatnot, and that is a cry of shame. A lot of people, especially if African Americans, don't know who they are because they know who they are in regards to in the United States, but they don't know where their ancestry. They don't know who they are in regards to their ancestry outside of the United States. That's why I advocate. Google them yourselves, AfricanAncestry.com. Figure out your background, where your people come from, all right? Everybody, no matter what your race is, where you're from, you should know where you're from, period, where your people come from. The one-on-one aspects of it, just my personal opinion. Brian said, I could vividly recall an Australian woman while he was in Hong Kong, China, asking, where are you from? He replied with his normal answer of, he's from Baltimore, Maryland. Good old B. Morris in the house, in the United States of America. She looked at him strangely and then asked, no, where are you really from? And basically this young lady was asking him a question that he had no idea how to answer. Like I said, I'm glad I took the test now, because when I do have the pleasure of going, I can answer that question. And I implore you all to do the same thing so that you can answer that question if you ever want to travel to the motherland or anywhere in the world. He stated I could only tell her what I didn't know, but from then on, he stated I was determined to find out. Good for you, Brian. I eventually ventured into the phenomenon of ancestral DNA testing. While there are many options available, he stated, I decided to use the kit provided by Ancestry DNA to discover what countries I was most connected to. After completing their requirements and returning the kit, he stated he anxiously awaited his results. Once they were received, he stated, I was pleasantly surprised. While the results are certainly no definite or direct answer, he said, I felt comfort in finally having some sort of idea. And that's what it is. You're not going to get 100%, but getting some sort of an idea is a beautiful thing. And then obviously when you go to the countries or the communities, then you get to, go from there and do your research. Do more research when you physically touch the ground when it comes to this kind of stuff. Most of his African DNA comes from Cameroon in the house. That's where my folks come from. Mali, Guinea, Togo, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Senegal, the Congo, and the Southern Bantu people. If you haven't done a DNA test, no matter where you're from, like I stated, I would highly advise you to do it when you get the chance, because one cannot know where they are going if they don't know where they're coming from, or where they came from, period. This is my personal opinion. Brian also stated that I eventually took a trip to some of the countries with the highest percentage and will soon be traveling, highest percentage of his DNA, and he will soon be traveling to other countries. During those trips, he learned so much about the history of the countries, the people, and their beliefs. He also said my recent trip to Togo and Benin stood out the most as I was given an in-depth look into their ways of life, including the voodoo religion and the common misconceptions taught in the Western world. He stated, my time spent in the Ivory Coast and Ghana showed me where my hustle mentality and love of a good party came from. And I've heard that from a lot of people. One show I watch, check him out, Dinah Samir. He's a big advocate of people going to Africa and checking him out. He even does tours in Africa and whatnot. So check out Dinah Samir. Search for Uhuru. That's his channel. Search for Uhuru. But one young man that just got back from Liberia, which is basically a country that was founded by former slaves in the United States of America. So whether African Americans realize it or not, there's a big connection between African Americans and Liberians and whatnot. Now there's been more of a connection between African Americans and people from Ghana and whatnot. Ghana's becoming the #1 spot of places where African Americans are visiting. As you see this one gentleman here, Brian, he's in that picture where it says freedom and justice. That's where he's actually at in Ghana. I think you have up to like 5,000 or 6,000 African Americans who actually reside in Ghana right now. Pretty cool stuff, you know what I mean? Having that international, the world is more international than it ever has been, whether people want to believe it or not. So having some sort of international connections is a beautiful thing. I think, like I said, the Generation Z, they're going to have more foreign connections than any other generation beforehand. Just whether you're a regular working person, whether you own your own company, whatever have you, it's just going to be the norm to say, I have a friend in Australia, I have a friend in Nigeria, I have a friend in Mexico, I have a friend in Canada, I have a friend in the UK. It's just going to be the new norm. I think that's been brewing for like the last 20 years now. But with the international world and in the digital age, it's just going to be even more so. Just keeping it real on that one. All right. But anyways, it's this, like I said, it's very interesting, and when he says the highest percentage, he's talking about his DNA, the highest percentages of his DNA. And the beautiful thing, he also said, when he took a trip to Togo and Benin, which are two countries right next to each other, it stood out the most in regards to his connection with people, as he was given an in-depth look into the ways of life, including voodoo religion and the common misconceptions taught in the Western world about voodoo. I've actually seen a lot of videos about it, and yet there's a lot of misconceptions about it. So like I said, just do your own research and go from there. I'm not going to tell anybody what to believe and what not to believe when it comes to spirituality or religion. That's their business. My time spent in the Ivory Coast in Ghana, he stated, showed me where, we already went there. Oh, apologies, family. Apologies. Like I said, I get passionate about something and I just keep going. But anyways, the article ended on, at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about learning about where you truly come from, whether it boils down to the deep southern parts of the United States, because that's where obviously most of African Americans' journey began, and Africa. The more you learn about yourself, the best you can counter the world. I still get a lot of great information from my mother about my family members that come from Richmond, Virginia, or my family members that come from North Carolina and things of that nature, and stories that I never heard. I'm sure that there's so much more for me to learn. You know what I mean? But the article ended on this statement. The world needs to be informed. Brian stated, it's our job to take a trip across the Atlantic Ocean and destroy all the negative stereotypes one by one. I agree with that statement as well. He stated, we must show our friends and family back home in the United States, or even if you got folks in Canada or Europe, around the globe, that Africa is the past, the present, and the future. I couldn't agree more with that statement, family, because it goes with the old statement, never ever judge a book by its cover. There's plenty of people that'll walk around looking like a bum, but they might have $1 million in the bank account and a multitude of assets and whatnot, or a multitude of education, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, whatever. Africa has been judged enough, and judgment without even going to a place doesn't make any sense to me. And that's what great example, when I first went to Los Angeles, California in 2020, everybody was giving me their 2 cents and whatnot. But I was usually getting 2 cents from people that weren't even from there, never even been there. If they went there, they went there for a freaking conference. So that doesn't count. Because to me, a lot of times when people go to a place for work, they're not really discovering the place. Some people do, most people don't. They usually go from where the event is happening to the hotel. They might go to a restaurant, but they don't go like too far into the communities. Like when I go someplace, I'm into where the people are at. I do a little bit of tourism, but I'm like, okay, where do the people live? How is everyday life for the people living here? So when I got to LA, I got to see my own, I got to give my own perspective on Los Angeles and the whole Southern California area. Same thing going to Nevada. When I went to Vegas, I got to see the real Las Vegas, not just go on a freaking strip and, just go to casinos. No, I got to see the real Las Vegas. When I went to Phoenix, Arizona, I got to see the real Phoenix. I didn't just go to where tourists go. And the same thing in Seattle. So and the beautiful thing is with Airbnbs, and you can even get an Airbnb in Africa, you get to really feel like you're living in a specific area in the community. So I implore you, the people out there that have African ancestry, to check it out. I mean, heck, people from Europe go to Africa all the time. It's a very normal thing. Just like a lot of Americans go to the Caribbean and Central and South America, that's a very normal thing. It is very normal for a lot of people from Europe and Australia to go to Africa for vacations. They call holiday, and I think it's cool. The more we get to learn about each other, the better we can get along with each other. The more that African Americans can learn about themselves coming from the motherland and whatnot, It's just a beautiful thing. Trace your DNA, go from there, do your own work. It's always nice to learn. I love to be in a learning atmosphere every single day. And I just know, especially once this pandemic is, I mean, well, heck, a lot of people aren't even letting the pandemic stop them. Like I mentioned Prince Dinah Samir on YouTube. You know, I believe he's been back and forth to Africa maybe 3 or 4 times since the pandemic happened, you know. But that's what happens when you're an entrepreneur and you work for yourself. You basically get to, and you have connections as well and networks. You're basically able to do a lot of things at your leisure. You might work a lot harder, but you're able to do things at your leisure to where you couldn't if you just have a regular 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with having a regular 9 to 5. It's all about perspective, and it's all about what the lifestyle you want to live, you know. In regards to just having a regular 9 to 5, don't forget to join the GS Partners, Gold Standard Partners. You know, the G999 is a new coin out there, but it is ever growing, especially, not giving out no financial advice, but especially if you sign up for free, you know, you get access to the G999 coin in a different way. Obviously, you can still buy it if you want to. But the beautiful thing about the GS Partners is you can refer others to join, buy a specific package. There's various different packages. Like I said, if you sign up, I will give you the rundown and go from there. The link will be in the description. And you'll be able to make money off of it. It's referral marketing for cryptocurrency at the end of the day. The only reason why I'm involved is I'm going to buy cryptocurrency, so why not get involved? I just got my cryptocurrency Visa card Friday. Happy about that. I bought some groceries with it the other day. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to buy it anyway, so might as well utilize it, all right? So do the great 3 free things, family. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Comment in the comment sections. I'll definitely respond. And remember, family, in this economy, you got to make money moves or you're going to live broke like a fool. Can't put it any other way. And remember, you can't get fired if you own the company. It's 2021. It's time for you to start owning something. Take care, family.